It started with a knock on my door and a letter that changed everything. One morning, out of the blue, I found out my water supply had been shut off. No warning, no explanation, just silence when I turned the tap. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe a pipe had burst, or there was some kind of city maintenance. But then I learned the truth. The HOA had decided to cut off my water, claiming I'd violated some rule buried deep in the fine print. I was shocked, and honestly, a little angry. I mean, how do you take away someone's water? So, I had a decision to make. Wait around, beg for them to fix it, or do something about it myself. That's when I started researching solar water pumps. Quiet, efficient, and independent. The idea of being able to pull water straight from the ground using nothing but sunlight, it felt like taking my power back, literally. Installing it wasn't easy, and I'll admit, it came with its fair share of challenges. But the day it finally kicked on and started feeding water to just my side asterisk of the property, that was something else. But here's the twist. What happened next wasn't what I expected, and it stirred up even more than just water. So, here's a bit of background. I've lived in this neighborhood for almost 7 years. Quiet place, decent neighbors, nothing too fancy. But the HOA, let's just say they like control. They have rules for everything. What color your shutters can be, how long your grass should be, even what kind of flowers you plant. Over the years, I've had a few run-ins with them, mostly over small stuff. But nothing like this. Cutting off my water felt personal. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a message. I started asking around. No one else on the block had their water shut off, just me. When I tried to reach the HOA board, I'd either got no response or vague answers. Something about a non-compliance issue that they wouldn't explain. That's when things started to feel off. I mean, who does that over a minor disagreement? That's when I knew I had to do something they didn't see coming. I began researching off-grid water solutions, solar-powered pumps, rainwater collection, anything that could give me some control back. The idea of a solar pump was perfect. Eco-friendly, legal, and best of all, independent from the HOA's control. But the moment I started digging, literally and figuratively, I uncovered more than I bargained for, and it wasn't just about water anymore. As I started putting in the solar water pump, things around the neighborhood shifted. People began to notice. A few neighbors stopped by, curious about what I was doing. One guy even whispered, "Careful, they don't like when someone finds a workaround." That stuck with me. What was really going on here? Why such a strong reaction to something as basic as water? The pump itself took about a week to fully set up. I had to install the solar panels, run the piping, and make sure the filtration system was solid. It wasn't cheap, and it definitely wasn't easy, but it worked. Clean water from the ground, powered by the sun, and only on my side. I figured that would be the end of it, but it only made things worse. One day, I noticed a black SUV parked across the street. No plates. It was there for hours. Then the warnings started. Anonymous letters in my mailbox. No return address. Just printed notes telling me I was in violation and that further actions might be taken. At the same time, a neighbor I barely knew, Susan, told me she had issues with the HOA too. Her garden was torn out last summer, supposedly for violating landscaping rules, but she always believed it was something more. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about rules. This was about control. Things escalated faster than I expected. A few days after the pump went live, I came home to find my gate wide open. Nothing was taken, but it felt deliberate, like someone wanted me to know they'd been there. The solar panels were still intact, but there were fresh footprints in the dirt near the pump. It was a warning, not a robbery. That night, I barely slept. The HOA finally sent an official letter. This one was different, more aggressive. They claimed the solar pump violated community guidelines, even though I double-checked the bylaws. There was no rule against it. They called it unauthorized infrastructure and gave me a deadline to remove it or face legal action. But I wasn't backing down. Not this time. Meanwhile, Susan and I started digging deeper into public records, old board meeting notes, anything we could find. What we discovered was unsettling. Over the past few years, several residents had been quietly forced out after challenging the HOA. Small things, fines, citations, violations, piling up until they had no choice but to leave. And the properties, almost always sold quickly, usually to the same real estate group. The pieces were coming together. It wasn't just about a solar water pump. It was about power, property, and maybe something even darker. I knew I was getting close to something they didn't want exposed. Too close. Just when I thought I had a handle on what was going on, things took another unexpected turn. One morning, my solar pump suddenly stopped working. No warning, no signs of damage, just silence. I checked everything. The wiring, the panels, the filtration system. All looked fine. That's when I noticed something strange. One of the connectors had been cleanly cut. Not worn down, not broken. Cut. Someone had tampered with it. I reported it to the local authorities, but they brushed it off as probably just vandalism. No investigation, no follow-up. I knew better. This wasn't random. Someone didn't want me using that pump, and if they were willing to sneak onto my property to sabotage it, what else were they capable of? That same week, Susan got a notice too, one that accused her of encouraging civil unrest. All she did was help me look through public records. But now she was being targeted too. And that's when she told me something I didn't expect. She used to be on the HOA board. Years ago, until she started asking questions about sudden home foreclosures, about where the fines were really going. After that, she was quietly removed. Now everything made sense. This wasn't just about me. It was bigger than one pump, one neighbor, or one violation. And whatever was hiding behind the HOA's polished image, it was about to come into the light. The breaking point came 2 nights later. Around 2 a.m., I heard rustling near the side of the house, the same area where the solar pump was set up. I grabbed my flashlight and quietly stepped outside. There, crouched by the pump, was someone in a hoodie with a pair of wire cutters. I shouted, they bolted, but not before I caught a glimpse of their face. It wasn't a stranger. It was someone from the HOA board, someone who had stood in front of the neighborhood many times preaching about community standards and safety. That was it. I filed a report again, this time with video evidence from a small camera I'd hidden near the pump just days earlier. It captured the whole thing, clear as day. The footage went to the local news. The story blew up. People across the neighborhood, and even beyond, started coming forward with their own stories of strange fines, sudden violations, and unexplained pressure to sell their homes. In the end, several HOA board members were removed, and an investigation was launched into the group's financial records. My water system stayed, and better yet, others in the neighborhood started looking into solar and off-grid options too. But here's the twist. Just a week after the dust settled, I got a call. The real estate group behind most of those quiet property takeovers, they offered to buy my house. For double its value. No explanation, just an offer. All cash. I haven't responded yet. But something tells me this story isn't over. I didn't take the offer. Not because it wasn't tempting, it was. But because this house, this land, means something to me now. It's not just about the solar water pump or standing up to the HOA. It's about proving that one person can push back when something doesn't feel right. The neighbors who once kept to themselves, they started speaking up too. We formed a small group to keep the new HOA board accountable, and even helped others set up solar-powered systems and rainwater collection legally and safely. Susan and I stayed in touch. She ended up running for a spot on the new board and won. Her first move? Transparency, monthly meetings, open finances, and clear communication. The shady real estate group disappeared just as quickly as they showed up. No more letters, no more SUV watching from across the street. Looking back, Getting my water cut off might have been the best thing that ever happened. It forced me to be resourceful, to ask questions, and to build something better, not just for me, but for my whole neighborhood. And yeah, the solar water pump, still running strong, quiet, steady, and completely mine.